Welcome back to the Park Car Conversation, where we talk about real life, real experiences with real people. As you can see, we're here at Frontier Fine Cars, the only real place we're going to do the Park Car Conversation in this season, driven. And me and Jeremy have spoken about doing this conversation for 3 years. And that's the power of the tongue, because we've manifested a moment like this. So before I get into introducing you, we got loveliest candles here in the middle. As y'all can see, we're standing on our business all 2024. And this business could be you. This space of business could be you. You just got to hit up our team. We're going to sort you out and make sure that, the whole world gets to see what your brand is. The candle is smelling nice up here, but it could be something else and it could be you. So just reach out to us.
I don't know who needs to hear this thing, but I don't know who needs to hear this thing, but
without further ado, Jeremy. You guys are gonna hear me call him Germz in this episode because that's how I know you. I know Jeremy is like the name that you're given at birth, powerful. And this is also your refined name. He's like, hi, I'm Jeremy, but we know you as Germz. And today's topic, we're gonna be talking about life incarceration, right? Being in jail and life outside of jail. And I've had a lot of intrusive thoughts over the years. I've asked you so many deep things. Like, I want to know what the morning routine looks like. I want to know what lockdown I always hear about. I actually even want to know what the range looks like, when they talk about different ranges. And so he's always been really open with me. And we're at a time in life where you can talk about things. And so I'm going to just let you introduce, yourself, what you were incarcerated for, that type of nature.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Appreciate, giving me a platform to speak. Always like talking about stuff like this isn't always the most comfortable thing, but, we're in a safe space right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so my name is Jeremy. People know me as Germz, Big Germz, Gville, all of that, But yeah, I'm from the West End, Toronto, and I grew up in a neighborhood. It was pretty rough, and I guess like at a point in my life, I seen a lot of my young peers become victims, like, innocent kids, all types of stuff. Like, so I guess at one point in my life, I kind of made a choice to like, not be a victim. So I started getting involved into the wrong things, but mostly to just protect myself in a rough environment where I was attending funerals a lot. So because of my decisions to protect myself and do what I had to do, it led me to my incarceration after my house got raided one time. Because all it really takes is like one informer, one snitch, which was for my case. All it really took was one person ratting, and it eventually ended me up getting locked up. And I was locked up for serious offenses. So firearm possessions and drug trafficking. So yeah, pretty much like, went from like just, living a normal kind of like teenage life. And I seen my first run-ins with the law when I was like 14. I got charged with assault. And then after my first charge, I just kept getting charged over and over and over and over. And it was just like a never-ending cycle of being stuck in the system until my big age. Now I'm 35. So like 20 years being in the system nonstop, just like, so once you have a record and you're in the system, it's very hard to get out. And they just put conditions on you and they just kind of hold you in there and they'll just keep you in there. Any little slip up, you're just, back in. So pretty much, I don't know what question you want to start with. I heard you like say 3 things. So I'm going to let you ask the first one.
I don't know who needs to hear this today, but if you walk into Frontier Fine Cars or fill out a form online and tell them that the Park Car sent you, you will get $500 towards a down payment of your car off the bat. This is for the people with no credit, with bad credit, working on your credit. You will not get denied. They work out the best low interest rates, low payment plans. They have an extensive fleet of vehicles. But if you see a car that's not there, they will outsource it for you just to ensure that you have a seamless process. I personally would not steer y'all in the wrong direction. I know enough people that have gotten their cars at Frontier Fine Cars. So from us to you, enjoy the rest of the episode.
All right. Well, speaking on what you said, I think this is very realistic if someone is watching this, because I hear a lot of the youth or even the mandem, right, talk about it. Well, it's either me or them. So that's the same nature you're talking about. Like, you had to protect yourself. So firearm possession, those are things. It's very relevant. You know, if when you're watching this, we're in Toronto, and it is very prevalent in our communities where there are a lot of people walking around with firearms, one for self-defense. But if you were to speak to someone who's watching this, you are also probably at their point in their life where they're not trying to hear nobody talk to them, right? What is something that realistically you would say to them about, you know, the protection? Like, I got to have it on me because I need to protect myself, because then you do get twined up in more stuff, right? What would you say to someone like that?
To be honest, it's kind of like, you know, we live in Canada, so the laws are against us, where if we were in the United States, it would be our right to bear arms. I feel like when I was carrying firearms for my protection, it was basically like the evidence is clearly there with my friends being buried in the ground, right? So someone might say, oh, you're crazy, you're delusional, nothing's gonna happen. Why do you have it? Why are you bringing your gun to Walmart? And I'm like, yo, you never know, right? Because that's just my reality. When someone might say, oh, you're crazy or you're tripping, how am I tripping when I seen my friend's blood and his brains all over the floor? Was that tripping? I don't think so. So like, honestly, it's hard to tell somebody what to do, you know? So even speaking to youth, obviously I want to advocate to the youth not to do their thing, but then I don't want to tell somebody not to protect themselves if they need to. So, but at the end of the day, what I would say is that, you know, the consequences of what I was doing, it basically affects my life up until today, where I have a criminal record that's on me for 10 years. I have a weapon ban, all types of stuff. So even if I was to change my life right now, or if I felt like I need to protect myself right now, it's like any little slip up, anytime if I was to get caught with it, whatever, they would automatically slap me with like, you know, 5+ years, you know, whatever. I'll probably do 2/3 of that or whatever, right? But the point is, like, how much years of my life am I going to spend going to jail and like reoffending, you know? It's like, I'm at a point in my life right now where I'm trying to elevate. I'm trying to like, you know, get a career. I went to college for 3 years for film and television. And, you know, I'm trying to find a job right now. But every time it goes down to that box where it says, have you been convicted of a offense? And, you know, sometimes I'm like, do I just lie, say no? But then what if they do their background check and they find out later I look like a big liar? Or do I just say yes and be honest? But like, is anybody going to understand my trauma of like why I was carrying my things? You know, it's hard to explain to people, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, for me, I don't want to tell no one what to do, but because like the youth out there, you know,
they're going to do what they want to do.
They're going to do what they want to do. But I would say that it affects your life. And sometimes it's hard for them to see that it affects their life, because some people, they get a little slap on the wrist, you know, first charge, you know, you go do a little 8 months, a year, whatever, and you come touch road. And then you feel like, oh, that was soft. I could do that. Like, you know, I'll do that on my hands, you know, I'll do that with my eyes closed, right? So some people, they don't really get the message, right? And they might carry it again. So it's a thin line where like I want to say, yo, this isn't the way to go. But at the same time, you know, I wasn't carrying it for show. I wasn't carrying it for like, you know, really to like hit any innocent people. I was more on some, you know, last line of resort. I came from an area where it's like predominantly like Jamaicans, Somalians, Grenadians, Lucians, whatever, like, you know. But I seen the most baddest mans get robbed. People run up in their house, tie up their moms, everything, you know? So I was like, yo, I didn't want that to happen to me. And I'm Guyanese, I'm brown. So it's like, if they're robbing the toughest guys, why are they not going to come after me? You know, and I was doing my little hustle thing, and people see me getting a little money. I know that they're coming for me. So it's like, you
that
know.
breeds jealousy, actually. When people see you get money.
And like in my area, it's a big thing with like the eat foods. So mans are like, yo, you know, you don't have no eat foods? Well, everyone's broke, right?
Someone's watching this and doesn't know what an eat food is. Germz, can you break that down to them?
Eat food is basically like a stain, like a robbery, like, or like a jux. Like, you don't have someone for us to eat. So it's like, there's people that will call people and be like, yo, no eats, no eat foods. We're trying to jam something. So like, if I'm getting money, somebody knows that. They're going to say, well, my brethren, or like it can be your own cousin lining you. Like where I'm from, your own cousin. I seen brothers line brothers. So it's just very like, you know, at them times, I just seen so many people turn victims. And I was like, yo, I don't want to be a victim. So I was like, it's
realistic.
And like a lot of circumstances, I didn't even really need to do anything. People tried to corner me, outnumber me. And I just had the quick draw. Boom, and then they ran for their lives. So a lot of times it worked in my favor. I thank God for the gun a lot of times, you know what I mean? Because what if I didn't have it, right? I could have been dead, right? So there's so many times where it saved my life, but it also became the destruction of my life as well, you know?
I think that's the point. It can give you a lot of power in situations where you need it. But also maybe a lot of people aren't as mindful, where they're like, this is the last resort, because there are a lot of young people out there running around now. It just gives them the power. They're not thinking about what it does. They're not thinking about innocent people. We've both lost people, innocent people to guns. And you know, it's just a very realistic side, the ugly side.
There's a lot of youths out there that are just crashing out. Yeah. You know?
Well, they're on Xannies. They're on perks. They're on a whole list of whatever drug is out there. And then give them a gun, things get very dangerous, right?
Because like, to be honest, like, why do you have a gun? Not just to possess it, right? Yeah. You have your gun to bust your gun, right? So
my main thing, I always say to people that I know, right, who are within this realm of life, I always say, do you know there's people like me that exist outside? You know what I mean? And I can I can go to Walmart and like not have to look like this, thankfully. You know, it could be you too, right? But obviously circumstances, areas, I can understand that it's different for everyone. But I wanted to like speak to the actual jail aspect. So we're talking about, this is provincial jail. There is a difference, provincial and federal jail. You want to break that down to them really quick?
Yeah, so basically like provincial jail, say you get 2 years less, you go to provincial jail, which they call the bucket, which would be like Toronto South, Toronto East, Maplehurst, or like, you know, say you're doing like, you get sentenced to go to Penetang or like Lindsay or like Niagara. They have like...
Those are all provincial jails?
Provincial jails, yeah. And then federal is like when you're doing like 2 years plus. So, and that could be up to life. And then you got like big institutions like Collins Bay. You got like, there's Beaver Creek, Fenbrook, like there's so many places, right? So
in this instance, best case scenario, not a best case, but in this scenario, we're talking about federal jails, okay? What does that look like realistically for someone who maybe doesn't have any charges and it's like, all right, well, that's soft. I have the Mandamar in there, whatever, they can do what they do. Like, what does that look like? What are some like those, the ugly truths about jail that people might not be aware of?
For what, federal or just jail in general?
Well, I mean, just jail in general, but...
Like, honestly, like, I think it depends on the person, because, like, there's levels to this shit, right? So, like, you could be just, like, a good youth, but you be on... If you're general population, you could be a good youth, but you'll be in the mix with all the spillers, everybody, you know? There's no, like, oh, good youth range and... you know, killer range, you know? So like...
Let's even break that down. Okay, in jail, but maybe people don't know this. There's something called range. Ranges. Yeah. You're on this range. What is it based on areas?
Yeah, so right now it's based on areas because like right now Toronto, all the politics and stuff. So there's a lot of link ups. There's a lot of blocks that are cool with blocks, and, you know, they're trying to... people have keep separates. So they try to like put all the people with the same keep separates so they don't have more code blues. And code blues, like when they fight and they press the button and all the guards come. So there's fights every day that don't get coded. but like pretty much it's like they have these ranges to try to, prevent like the mix up.
Fair.
Right? So when you go on the range, your first day in jail, everybody's like, new fish, you'll probably get surrounded. The first question, where you from? For right off the bat, where you from? And that's what matters, So it's like either, they're going to say, where you from? What they call you? What's your name? You have anything on you? So like a lot of people are bringing things in, whatever. Everybody's trying to smoke or something, So nah, you don't have nothing. So it's either go shower or, you may be blessed, but a lot of times it's either you're blessed or you're getting cracked off the range. So when you're getting cracked off the range, that means you have to cut, you have to leave. So some people...
And inmates get a choice to be like, listen, officer, I don't want this guy on my range.
No. It doesn't even work like that. Like people will tell people like you'll get forward to the washroom.
Get beat up.
No, forward just means like, forward.
Yeah, forward to the washroom.
Forward to the washroom, and then man might say, go tell the guard you don't want to stay here. And make them do it themselves, or they get their head bust and then they have to go.
Okay.
So pretty much in jail, I seen blood almost every single day, being honest with you. And thank God, I thank God every single day that it was never my blood. And I know it was only God why I never ever got touched in jail. I'm not saying like I'm innocent or nothing. Like I got charged in jail with assault bare times, but
you've been to the hole. We've spoken about that.
Yeah, I've been to the hole like a lot of times.
Someone who's watching this, what is that aspect?
I mean, it's not as scary as they say, but it is segregation. You're by yourself, or you can have a cellie sometimes. And pretty much it's just, there's no TV. I would say it's like the same thing as your cell, kind of. Once you're in jail, you're in jail. So like the whole range, it doesn't, no difference, Yeah, so you just kind of like, when you're in jail, you can't be scared to be a bad boy now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be trying to be good now. You're already in there, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, you try not to get misconducts because sometimes you want to get parole and stuff. But at the end of the day, you kind of still have to do your thuggy. You have to do your thing. It's too late to be
which might be challenging because the nature of some of the people that you're around, they might just be in for a longer time than you and just want to come just ruffle your feathers because they just don't like you. They've heard about you, whatever the case is. Now they're pushing your buttons. So now your chances of parole or, things get a little bit further away from you. That's practical.
I feel like in jail, they don't have nothing better to do. So it's entertainment to see a head get bust or someone get rushed or like catch someone in a lie.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people, they let someone live there, feel comfortable, play cards, play chess, watch a Raptors game, everything's blessed. And then right before lockup, say, yo, you want to bun a spliff or something? And then just be all friendly. And then, probably like take two off the spliff and then tell them, here, take your two. And while they're smoking, taking their two, then they get rushed. Jail's not a place where people will say, hey, I want to fight you one-on-one. People are going to do it very sneakily, And it might be like, a gang thing. They'll they'll run up on you, rush you. They'll try to do it in the cell so no one could see. So, yeah.
Is there any thoughts like when you were, of what you can recall when you were actually in jail? Like, is there anything like at nighttime, lying down on your bunk, just thinking to yourself over and over? Was there any like reoccurring thoughts that stuck out to you till this day?
Honestly, like jail's nothing like pretty. So like when you're in there, like you just think about your family, you think about your loved ones, like even being in there, I witnessed like my parents' age, like the stress of me being in there is just making them look like they're getting older and older. And then I'm not there to help out financially. So, it gets frustrating. You have family members that are sick or passing away. You can't even attend the funeral or whatever, So like a lot of times when I was there, say if you fall asleep, you don't even want to wake up. You don't even want to like peek, open your eyes and see the jail. Yeah. You just want to stay in your dream and like, because like that's why they have the rule. You can't flush the toilet at night, right? Because like if you flush the toilet,
wake people up.
Yeah, if you wake someone up from their sleep, that's a big thing, because you're basically, taking away their little moment of freedom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is for the intrusive people watching this episode, because I've asked these. I'm gonna bang these out. I've learned that you gotta use the washroom kneeling. If you're to urinate, you gotta kneel.
Yeah.
For cleanliness.
Sometimes you have to kneel and piss so you don't make a splashing sound or splash up the place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every cell has a different rule. Like everyone has different rules, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't say certain words.
Yeah.
So like how I said forward, you can't say you can't say come. You have to say forward. I guess it's like a Jamaican thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't say
It's very
juice.
Jamaican.
You have to say beverage. You can't say banana. You have to say yellow fruits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's very little, you know, the yachty influence is heavy. Like Toronto jail, you see like when you watch 60 Days In and all those American shows, they're getting raped in jail. Like it's not going over here. I'll tell you that. Toronto jail is like, it's a whole different culture. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean? Real talk.
Those are the type of intrusive questions I've asked Germz. I'm like, so like, what do people talk about? Like, when you guys play games, like cards, like do you guys laugh together? Like, have you created and fostered good relationships out of jail?
Yeah, let me tell you something. Like, we make the best out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes I used to think to myself, boy, does my mom know what the hell I'm doing over here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm burning weed at 10 o'clock. You know?
I heard about the lighter thing. To get lighters from cells to cells, you gotta like swing the string.
Yeah, like
and
we make
guards
wicks, you know. I don't want to talk the things, right? You don't want to mash up the things for the man, them, right? Because that's all they have. Like,
yeah.
If you're in jail and you can smoke a spliff, I'm telling you, that's the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
You know, who cares how you get it, whatever. Not gonna get into none of that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, people are fishing, and the guards know Wagwan. Everybody knows Wagwan. As long as you don't set off the fire alarm, there's no paperwork. They don't care. Like, you can't stop what's going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Mm-hmm. And man, and will smoke, you know, because we need to smoke. It's part of our like mental health routine, you know. Mm-hmm. If we don't smoke, we're gonna go crazy.
I do know a lot of the mandem who actually did go, and they just didn't smoke, and they came out, and you know, it was like a readjustment, which is good. I do think that like during that time, there are some moments where you should sit and reflect.
Yeah.
A lot of people do find their faith.
Exactly.
Which is where we're going to get to next, because you are, you know, knowing Germz outside of this conversation, you also are a man of God, right? You're a big believer.
Yeah.
So now let's skip, because we've gone through incarceration, you get released, and being released doesn't mean that you're free.
Nah.
Right? So what did that look like for you after jail? Because we always talk about, you know, the reintegration of inmates and trying to, you know, assimilate people back into the culture. But what does that realistically look like in your experience?
Yeah, so I guess like they call it correctional system, whatever, but ain't no correcting going on. Like, you know, it's no jail never scared me straight, none of that, you know. Like, I swear I went to jail, it became worse, you know. Mm-hmm. But when I touched road now, I was on an ankle bracelet for like a year and a half, and I was limited to the things I could do. And it was like almost anything could send me back. I couldn't associate myself with nobody that has a record, and I'm being released to the hood. Everyone has a record. You know, I wasn't allowed to smoke weed. I had to get piss tests. I had to, I couldn't drink any alcohol. I had to report to Guns and Gangs by Jane and Finch. And like, yeah, even that going to your parole is risky, because there's other people like going there and they're making me go to Jane and Finch. You know, so it's like at the end of the day, there's everything set up for me to fail. And I think at one point I had to make that choice for myself, because, you know, I feel like when I freed up, I feel like I seen so many things that was just sent like a warning sign that I'm going to go back, you know? And I was like, damn, like, is this what I'm just destined to? Like, just reoffending. It's like, it was so hard for me to get a job. It was so hard to, like, you know, how are you gonna come out? You have no money, you know, there's no programs, like, and then I had a lot of like mental health, because like when I was in there, I get frustrated and I'll kick the cell door as hard as I can and bang the door as hard as I can. But now I'm out on road, and every time I get mad, I'm kicking my own door. My mom's like, what's wrong with this, you know? But it's like, I couldn't help it. Like, I have this frustration, this anger. Like, I'm supposed to be so older, and I'm playing catch up, you know? And I lost all these years of my life, you know? So it's like, I wish I had more money. I wish I was more successful. I should have been here by now. Should have had a house by now, kids, whatever, you know? Like, everything gets mashed up when you're in jail, right? So At
It robs you of the time.
It robs you of the time, and then you're put this record, and the police are just on me. They know me. They raided my house, so now they're watching my house. Every move I make, they're on me. You know, so it's like at one point in time, part of my parole conditions, I had to either go to school or go to work, and the work wasn't working for me. So I got blessed. Like this one lady I met in the jail. I got her email somehow. I messaged everyone from Centennial. I'm like, please find this lady's email for me, you know? And I got through with her, and she helped me to get signed up into college, which like my parole officer was just about to send me back to jail for not applying with the conditions. And then I told her, hey, I'm going to school, you know? And that ultimately saved me. And then I just went into my college program. And then, yeah, like I feel like my whole life started changing. It was like the law of attraction. So like more positive things started happening once I chose to be positive, and more positive people were gravitating towards me. So I said, you know what, like, why don't I just go this direction? Because the other way wasn't working. And I thought I had the most friends. I thought I had the most people. I thought I was getting the most money, everything. Like I lost all the money, everything I stacked. The boy them took everything.
And it must be lawyers too. Lawyers are not cheap.
My lawyer fees were up there $20K plus, you know? And I still pled guilty and stuff, like, you know? So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, yo, it's like I was doing all of this stuff to get me back starting from scratch. And then I looked at it like this, like, if I could go do 3 years of jail, why can't I go do 3 years of college? Right? So I was like, you know what? I just started making changes in my life. And honestly, you know, like the way God works is like a lot of my old friends just started like not wanting to be my friends anymore. And it's like I started finding new friends, you know? So it's like, I think that's like around the time I met you and stuff. It's like I was starting to change my life. I was in that process. But even in that process, so much things are happening. So it's like so many things are trying to pull me back, you know? Like when I was telling you about my friend that got murdered right in front of my house right there, you know, it was like a wake-up call for me to like, it's like almost telling me, yo, you need to strap up again. Anything can happen to you, you know? And it's like, look, this guy got murdered right in front of your crib, right? So I'm like, yo, I don't know. Like, what do I do? You know, I'm always at this crossroads in my life, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right?
That's realistic. Someone out there is watching it. It's very realistic. You know, you have the temptations or the realistic side of life that will be like, you need to, that saying, you're always one decision away from living a completely different life. You know, in that moment, that time, for a little context, if you're watching this, when you lost the
Geron.
Geron, right outside. It was really right outside your house. I was supposed to be going there that day. And then I ended up going the next day and seeing like everything kind of unfold. And we spoke about it. You were just walking your dog a little bit further down the street. You know what I mean? And if he was innocent, there's a lot of people that lose their life innocently, have no connections to any politics, no nothing. Because you look a certain way, it's going to happen. So there's someone out there that's realistically watching this, like, yeah, like they say this, but I still look the part. So if I'm walking down the street, I get off the bus or whatever the case is, this could be me. And, you know, you choose a different path. And so what has helped you? Like, and I mean, you know, I love God too, right? But like, how has that relationship with God even like changed and shaped you? Because I'll be realistic, guys. Like, I also have friends who are still incarcerated. Some of them are out. Some of them are on monitors. Some of them have curfew now, right? And I always use Jeremy. It's crazy how I use your name now, Jesse Jeremy, not Germz. I always use him as an example. Because a lot of people do know who you are, right? And I'm always like, listen, he's gone to school, right? Finished at the top of his class. You finished at the top of your class. You don't dumb how you talk, dumb down how you talk. You still sound, if you want to know how Toronto sounds like, this is how the Toronto man them sound like, okay? He doesn't switch it up. Right, you still went through college. You did it all, and now you're here. Like, what kind of inspiration would you have to say to someone like this? Could be you too, but you just gotta like get there. What would you guide them? How would you guide them?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I would say like you have to have like some type of desire within you to want to change, because like the influences, the peer pressure, everything. All the conditions, everything will make you go back. It's so easy. There's no prerequisite to go to jail. You know, it's so easy to mess up, right? But it's hard to try to stay focused. So why not apply yourself and try? You know, why not try? If you could mess up, you always have that to fall back on, right? You could always go back to the streets or whatever, or like, I don't know, everybody's different, right? But for me, I made the choice, and a lot of my friends, they seen it. Some of them didn't like it, and some of them were agreed with it, and some of them like cheered me on and championed me, you know? So like at the end of the day, I accomplished a lot in my life, and right before I was about to graduate, I was losing more and more friends. I almost felt like, oh, this is impossible, you know? But like, if anybody's watching or whatever, like, you know, take it from me, like, you know, like, you could change your life. You could do whatever. It's up to you. And I'll say God has a little bit to play in it, because he has a lot to play in it, actually, because like, you know, like I just decided one day that I'm like, yo, like this stuff isn't for me. And I have real friends in prison right now. I have like my friends, it might sound messed up, like real killers, convicted killers. They tell me every day, they're like, yo, you're one of the realest people I ever met. You don't have nothing to prove to nobody, you know, because what are you going to prove yourself to? End up right beside them? If my friends see me go back to jail, you think they're going to greet me with open arms? They're going to be pissed off. They're going to say, bro, you have all this potential and you're coming back here? Nah. Yo, what are you doing here? You know? So at the end of the day, like when you have that reality check, and reality checks in with me often, I have these guys calling me every day, you know, telling me, yo, just stay focused, do you. Who cares about what other people think, you know? So at the end of the day, yeah. You know, like one person told me this in jail. There's like a Centennial College book, and he's like, look through this book, and you see all these courses, pick one. And I'm like, what, in jail? He's like, no, you idiot, on road. I'm like, oh, for real? Like, you know, why didn't I ever pick something? Why didn't I ever choose a career? Straight from high school, I just been thugging, you know? For what? Like, I never even tried. So like anybody that's out there, like if you feel confined to your hood, your neighborhood, the world is bigger than your hood, than your neighborhood. There's so many things you could do. There's so many career paths you can choose. You know, you could choose something cool. Like I went for film and television, you know? So a lot of people will say, oh, why don't you get a trade? Why don't you do that? You know, it's like, I don't know, like maybe I'd worked construction for years. I was never happy. Felt like an old man, you know? When I was a young youth, I felt like old, back pains and thing, you know?
Yeah.
So like now I'm doing film and television. I love going to work every day. I'm unemployed at the moment, but you know, I'm not giving up on my dream. Like that's the whole bottom line of this thing. It's like, you know, you could do whatever you put your mind to, and going to jail is easy, and misery loves company. So you don't think the older man in jail would love your company? They would love people to accompany them and do time with them, right? And share, oh, let's do life together. Let's be share bunk beds, you know? But yo, bun that, yo. I'm going to chase my dreams and do my thing. You know, it doesn't make me any less of a man or nothing, you know? So at the end of the day, I'm just focused, and I will get there one day. And hopefully my story could, you know, help somebody out there.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, hey, listen, you were telling your story here, but I tell your story to other people. Serious. Because I know this guy from outside the camera, and I know some of the stuff that you've been through, and like where God has brought you, and how much you even fought after you came out. Like it wasn't like I'm doing this. There was still a lot of temptations out there for you. That is an easier option. The street life, it is faster money. It is quicker. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of consequences, right? Like being behind where you could have been. You know what I mean? You're always one decision away. And you did a really good job of wrapping that up. I was thinking about it. I'm like, you don't really have to say, I don't know who needs to hear this. Before we end, that's your camera right there. I want you to give like I don't know who needs to hear this. But I mean, you could kind of reiterate what you just said, but you know, whatever your spirit speaks to.
I mean, I don't know who needs to hear this. If you're in the streets, if you're not, if you have loved ones in the streets, there's nothing really good about it. There's nothing really to glorify. Every day, if I look at my Instagram and I see like all these politics, all this hood stuff, it actually makes me really sad, you know, to see these people just throwing their life away. And the world is bigger than the streets. You know, the world's a big, beautiful place. I suggest you guys go try to travel. Before you go get a criminal record, go to the States, travel, do something with your life, you know? I know youths that are 18 years old, catching bodies, never even went to a club yet, never even lost their virginity yet. Yo, come on, man. Get yourself a girlfriend, you know, go travel the world, go get yourself an education. The government gives out grants. I never even paid for my college because they check your T floor. I had no income. They paid for my school for me on a condition that I got a high GPA, which I did. So I think anybody out there listening, don't just fall victim to the streets, to the systematic way that they built and designed their neighborhoods for us to beef with each other and for us to fail. Like, try to make an attempt. You know, you got family that loves you. Don't let your family get old or have to bury you. You know, let's do this. Let's build a generational wealth. Let's rise up above this, and we can do it. We could all do it. And I pray that for every ghetto youth in Toronto, I pray that we can make it out the hood and that we could all build this generational wealth for the next generation to come. You know?
I appreciate that. And it's possible. Literally, it's possible. Someone watching this is like, there's no way. It is possible. You don't got to stay there. You can make a way. There's people like Germz. There's other people that, you know, like, there's people that will help you. You just got to find the right crowd, the right people, talk to them. They cut it off. It's not worth it. You got family that loves you for real. You got people, they love you. It does not have to be your life. You're in control of it. And so I appreciate you here on the Parker Conversation, rising above, elevation. One chapter of your life doesn't define your whole life. And so we're going to keep moving in that nature. So I appreciate you. You guys already know, here at the Parker Car. Until next time.
All right.
I don't know who needs to hear this thing.